What is good, my anime faithful? What is good, yo? So, with the line of aura, I have not been really, I feel like, too judgy or like pushing my own agenda and stuff like that, but it's been really interesting to see how other people kind of think or feel about these shows in the case of not like, oh, it's funny that they think it's this or that, or it's a great show and for this reason or that reason. I say it's funny because some of the stuff that I wouldn't necessarily care about is some of the stuff people truly care about. Like, for instance, the things I did care about in this week's episode. Where's my horse? The things I did actually care about in this week's episode were the fact that anything that kind of came with the territory of us. Oops. Oh my gosh, she's in a bath towel. With us understanding, the grand scheme of how things are going to play out, we only had so much to go off of until we saw, why certain people are fighting for certain reasons. And once we find out what those reasons were, uh, it grows much more depth of the story for us as the audience to see not just one side of a battle, but literally both sides, to understand not only are we seeing, like a massive change and increase in the, desperation of the battle almost, but everything that we saw in this week's episode with this observer showing up is another great reason why you should always have a show that kind of explains both sides of the spectrum when it comes down to, what's actually happening, what is actually going about on, both oppositions besides them having battles and stuff. What else do they do? What else is, relatively important to the overall cause of battle and whatnot like that to them? Once we find that out, it's pretty clear that whatever this black box is, it feels like even someone who isn't the main leader of the Sakurai army, or just the army that's going against our main cast, against Enterprise and stuff like that, we can tell that she believes she can become much stronger or a bigger threat amongst her people just by gaining this black box, or having it now, as she puts it, she said she wanted it to like pretty much be nurtured by the enemy, like allow them to nurture it for a little bit, and after that we will take it, and that will make it even easier on us for some reason. So whatever that means, I'm interested in seeing how far it goes, as to if it's going to change the overall narrative, or if it's actually going to be something that is greatly a problem, because when we get her to bring it, she literally brings that cube to, she brings it to a boat, like a ship that the observer, I guess, is the owner of. And when she does that, it gives us, she tells us that it's not ready, or she pretty much like spits it out after having it, be hers. And then she's like, all right, we gotta figure out, how to get it to grow faster, because it's clearly not ready, and that's why she gave it back. And then to lose it so casually to some spies, and not actually like have their heads, like them afraid for their own necks and stuff. They were more or less like, oh, this is a good turn of events for us. This is something we expected to happen. So because of this happening now, we can pretty much do whatever we want. And that's what it felt like this week, is they have already kind of figured out what they wanted to do in the grand scheme of pushing forward whatever narrative they want, and then boom, bam, they're already about to destroy every single person that's gets in their way, that has any type of, this black cube supposedly has the same essence as what made these girls in general, like what made them warships, like, or makes them strong and capable of being warships in general. So what can it do if they have that ability, or that as just its pure energy, and then by using it on something that already exists as a warship, maybe it becomes, you know what I mean? It becomes what it's supposed to be. It's a very interesting way of putting power in an object that can maybe turn the tide for any sides of the battle in play, and then it being like this for me. Like, I was like, okay, I can definitely get behind this, but at the same time, we just have to see if they actually, play well with how this all has kind of transpired in the end game, because not only have we seen a good amount of this show in the case of the fan survey stuff and whatnot, but this week there's I wonder how hard it is for the people like in the devs that want to do like all these shots and stuff like that. They have every single girl in the show in a dress or in a skirt, and what can't they do? They can't even show one upskirt, like all the time, every time. So it's kind of funny to me that this week's episode literally almost went a whole entire episode without doing it, and then when the alarms ring, when the maids finally captured the cube and started to try to escape, which they inevitably do by blowing up like a ship. um, so by all that going on and getting them to a position where they can actually be free and get away, and they're going to be pursued, of course, because they can't just get away within one episode. That wouldn't make sense if the Enterprise and like the overall enemy is that close by that they can make it within that short amount of time, unless they have like some way of transportation. Okay, but they didn't specify any of that, so we still have to see how they're going to continue to get away. They also have one of the the natives, residences of that place, who saw all this happen, so they also have a key witness to someone of how they're treating their own. If, oh, you saw what happened here, oh, we got to take you out, and we're going to even allow someone who doesn't live here to do it. And I think that's why this girl practically stepped in. She's like, I'm not going to allow you to just straight up body somebody from my from my fleet right in front of me. Not only right in front of me, but it's pretty much just allowing you to get away with whatever you want whenever you come here. So no. Like, back your hands up. But still, the maids came in perfect time, saving her and getting the cube, like some OG James Bond stuff. So I really did appreciate that little aspect that they threw at us. It was pretty nice. Overall though, like I said, it must have been a rough day for everybody at the studio to be like, hey, no upskirts. Or like, what? How about just one? Okay, one. But it has to be very subtle, okay? Very subtle. I don't know. It just kind of cracked me up that there was absolutely like no shine. I was going to say shine of it. No sign of it to be seen the whole episode. And then that one little second of time where they're like, okay, you guys paid your dues. You get to see it now. Here you go. Random person number one, or a random person that you're only going to see all day, and then boom, I was like, oh wow, like, we really needed this angle to tell us an alarm is going off. Thank you. Thank you so much. Which, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I was actually surprised they got it in. Like, it felt like this episode was so, like I say in the other last week's episode, it was a good character development for Enterprise, and I was enjoying learning about her. And then the next thing I've really noticed quickly is that Enterprise is one of the main characters that started just like the higher ups, like the queens and stuff like that, that still hasn't like really been shown off like that, right? Like this was definitely the closest they've gotten to doing that with her sleeping at the beginning of the episode. And I was like, oh, is it gonna be this episode or the next episode? What's going on here? Why is it starting like this? So we saw relatively quickly that she's still their innocent, like non-shown girl, which is fine by me. She's definitely my favorite character as a whole right now, and I definitely want to see where everything kind of leads off for her. But with all that being said, I hope you guys have an amazing day, night, evening. That was pretty sick. And I think I'm going to have my other girl leave it off on, oh no, she doesn't have her special. But with all that being said, I hope you guys have an amazing one. I will definitely talk to you later. Comment down below what you felt about this episode. Did you enjoy it more than the others, or is it just, you know, a show that you're definitely just watching to let numb the mind and just let it play as it plays? But as for now, I have one more show I want to put up before getting off, so I hope you guys enjoy it. If not, have an amazing day if you aren't watching any other videos of mine, and peace.